In the space of 1 week, I have had to do this one procedure 3 times. That's more than I can ever recall having to do this procedure. So if you have neck pain, if you suffer from headaches, insomnia, sinusitis, ear problems, what else can I say? This video is going to be for you and probably for somebody else who you know. Let's go.
Welcome to the Healthy Reasonings podcast with Dr. Andre. You are now listening to your number one source for clear, unfiltered conversations about your health and wellness. Join us every Tuesday for success stories, educational topics, and interviews with wellness experts from around the world. You can listen to this podcast on your computer, phone, or any other electronic device that streams podcasts, or download each episode and listen to it on the go. Let's get started with today's episode.
All right, a few housekeeping things. I want to thank all of our new subscribers and say welcome to the Healthy Reasonings podcast. On YouTube, I got a notification that I had hit first 500 subscribers earlier in the month and then 1,000 a little later in the month. So we've had some rapid growth over the past few weeks. And I think at the time I'm broadcasting this, we're probably going to be right on the edge of 2,000 subscribers. So I want to say that I am very humbled by all of you who have supported the channel on YouTube and who have subscribed on the various platforms. For those of you who have not yet realized, we do weekly video podcasts now. On Spotify, it shows as video, and on YouTube, obviously, as video. So I want to encourage you to, first of all, like this video. If you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe and share it with 5 friends. And of course, ding that bell so you can get a notification whenever a new episode comes out, which is usually every Tuesday, sometimes Wednesday, because it's a little bit busy at the office now, thanks to all of you guys. So if you guess correctly what this plant is, my team and I will come up with a prize that you deserve. But if you guess it correctly, that will definitely be a miracle. So see you guys in the next episode. It's always a pleasure. So for those of you who guessed correctly in the previous episode, you'd have identified that this plant shown here is a miracle fruit tree. And I'm looking forward to having it around for subsequent episodes so you can track the progress and determine whether my thumb is actually green or not. In the meantime, I'm just going to give it a little bit of water and hope for the best. And there is another plant that I'd love for you to guess. You can follow me over here to this one and let's see. While we're at it, those who are good guessers, guess this one if you're bad. Guess that one. You have more than enough information. You see the shape of the leaves, and that's all you really need to know. So guess that one and let's see what happens. Comments below. So I want to say I'm so grateful for all the support. And today we're going to be talking about one of my favorite procedures to do. And the funny thing is, this procedure is the only one of the various procedures that I do at Teshuva Wellness that I'm not able to do on myself. It's very good for headaches. It's very good for sinus issues. It's very good for chronic congestion and postnasal drip. It's also very good for neck pain. It's good for people who have had head trauma in the past. And I want to think it's probably good for memory issues. And the reason why I want to think that is because the professor who taught me how to do it was very clear that it was good for that. I have not yet started recommending it for those issues. However, I'd love to tell you a little bit about this procedure called the Crown of Thorns. And the Crown of Thorns, as you could imagine, is a neural therapy procedure that bears a resemblance to the crucifixion of Christ and the crown that was placed on his head. For those of you who might not remember, you might want to catch up with the previous videos I did. One on neural therapy, that's episode, not sure, it will be here somewhere. And one on sleep, which is episode something, it will be here somewhere. And I want you to watch those videos first and like and share and subscribe them before watching this one, because it will help to inform what I share with you today. Now, to quickly back up, I am an integrative oncologist. By training, I started off as a conventional hematologist oncologist, treating cancer the conventional way. And over time, got exposed to so many other different healing techniques and possibilities. And so I'm a bit of an all-rounder now. And so on any given day, I could have a patient come to see me with a diagnosis of cancer or autoimmune illness, which would be my two favorite things to treat. But at the same time, from time to time, I'll bump into somebody who has other issues. I mentioned already headache, difficulty sleeping, post-nasal drip, sinus issues, neck pain. And that's where I usually draw for the Crown of Thorns. Now, how did I come to be trained in this thing? Well, first of all, as you know from my history, I kept paying my way to go to workshops across primarily the United States to learn various techniques. And I ended up training with some really, really legendary doctors. In one particular training in Seattle at Bastyr University, I was learning how to do something called neural therapy, which was advertised as European injection techniques at the time. And those of you who know who this famous doctor is, you already know who I'm talking about. So in between one of the sessions, it was a workshop, hands-on workshop. So he would bring in patients, and the patients would, agree to be treated so that we could learn. And of course, they would get free treatment. So in between each workshop, there was like a lunch break or sometimes an afternoon breaks. And one of the afternoon breaks, I decided to try to use the Jamaica card. So I went up to the professor and I said, hey, guess what? I'm so happy to be here. I came all the way from Jamaica. And he said, oh, that's great. I know a lot about Jamaica. And, he said the usual thing, Bob Marley, Usain Bolt. Struck up a bit of a conversation. And he said to me, you know what? I'm going to do something for you because you're from Jamaica and you've struggled so hard just to be here. It's a long way. In the next workshop demonstration, as soon as you hear me ask for a volunteer to assist me, please put your hand up. And he gave me this little wink. So I said, all right, this sounds great. Decided to, I thought I was so cool, the only person who knew this inside track. So the workshop resumes, and he goes through his preamble, and then he says, can I get a volunteer? Boom, my hand goes up. And he says, okay, this gentleman, where are you from? And I said, Jamaica. Okay, come on up. So I walk up to the stage, the front of the class, and he goes into a preamble about the Crown of Thorns, which I'm going to teach you now. And I start to notice that there's no patient coming through the door. And it bothers me a little bit. But then I said, well, maybe the patient is late. And eventually he motions to a chair and he says, hey, why don't you have a seat here in the meantime? And a little bit of a warning goes off. I said, this doesn't sound too right. I wonder where the patient is going to sit if I'm sitting here. And as you may have guessed, the next thing I know is he's saying to me, all right, so let's begin the procedure. And I realize that I am the subject of this procedure. I'm the guinea pig. So the Crown of Thorns involves injecting procaine, which is a neural therapy, very useful and harmless supplement. It's a local anesthetic that actually the body uses quite comfortably to make B vitamins or para-aminobenzoic acid. And in this particular form of neural therapy, the injection is made just under the skin in specific areas around the head and neck. And I like to compare it to the concept of a toilet being flushed. Now, if you watch the video on sleep, you'll remember that the brain actually needs to drain during sleep. And if it doesn't, then what you have is lots of debris from the day's activities being left behind up here in the area surrounding the brain. And we spoke a lot about how that creates sleep debt and leads to a whole lot of other issues. We also mentioned that the teeth and other structures in the head and neck can also, if they have a lot of inflammation, also trying to be drained off. They can lessen the amount of drainage that the brain is able to do. One of the things that I've also noticed, and I mentioned it, is that trauma to the head as well sometimes interferes with the brain's ability to drain. We probably won't go into too much details on why that is now, but it's one of the most popular things I've noticed. And so what tends to happen is we have the brain, imagine a toilet. All of us have had this happen at some point or the other, where the toilet, instead of flushing, it actually starts to, the water rises and it looks like it's not going to empty. And one of the possible reasons for this is that the drainage system below the toilet is obstructed or blocked in some way or overwhelmed. And of course, you could imagine that this could be the drainage system right beneath the toilet. It could be the tank attached to the house, or it could be even a little bit further down. And so in the same way, what we normally do with our crown of thorns is we assume that the brain is not flushing as well as it should. Usually I do a vital reflex scan, another video you can watch, and I assess that the brain needs some help, the skull and the neck need some help with drainage. So what we do is a variety of techniques to help to open up the drainage below the neck first, and then we make tiny injections around the scalp and to the back of the neck to stimulate the improved electrical activity surrounding this area of the body, as well as improved drainage overall. And I just find that this procedure just really it has not failed to help my patients. Let's put it that way. This week, I did this procedure for a combination of so many things. A poor little lady brought in her husband who was who was snoring excessively and grinding his teeth. Also had a postnasal drip, as I recall, and she was so concerned. Of course, he had no idea that this was happening. And so I asked him, would it be okay with you if I did this Crown of Thorns procedure for you? And he gave his consent. And you could literally see within minutes the change in his face. I don't know how to describe it, but his face just began to change in terms of the blood flow. It almost appeared as if his skin became flushed, as some people's skin do when they're embarrassed or about something. And he also described that he could feel his sinuses feeling a lot clearer. And so that was one indication. The second indication was a gentleman who, as I recall, was having some issues with losing balance, feeling a little bit unsteady, also having difficulty with with his vision as well. And when I examined him, I found similarly that he needed some help, did the procedure for him, and similarly with him, right there at the bedside, he could feel, the first thing he said to me was, "Wow, I feel so relaxed. I feel like I could just go to sleep right now," which I wouldn't want to happen because I had a full waiting room. So I had to ask him, "Please don't go to sleep now. Let's go out to the waiting room and you could probably fall asleep there while I attend to the other patients." And the other thing I wanted to point out is I see so many people who have neck pain, neck pain. And with this neck pain, usually what will happen is they will do an MRI or some sort of imaging, and the imaging will say, well, the neck pain is because you have a slipped disc. In Jamaica, we like to refer to it as a pinched nerve. And that's all well and good, because having a pinched nerve, yes, that's a part of the problem. But the way I was trained was that when patients begin to experience neck pain, provided that they have been assessed by an expert and they've been told they don't need surgery, one of the ways that can be helpful is to do neurotherapy injections around the skin of the neck. And what that does is it helps to encourage blood flow back to the area. And with that blood flow comes better nerve supply. With that better nerve supply also comes better blood flow. And ultimately what happens is the area begins to heal. And and I mean, I don't know how to explain it other than to say the area begins to heal and the patient starts not to have any more symptoms. But here is why I wanted to talk about this procedure today. And I'm going to show you a video of a gentleman who I helped. And the reason why I wanted to do this, to talk about this procedure, is this gentleman came to see me not because of neck pain, not because of headache, not because of sinusitis or any of these things. He actually came to see me because he had back pain. And this is why I thought it would be cool to share this, because if you think about the back, and I'm going to put up a little diagram here, if you think about the spine, then what you're really having is almost like a multi-story building, right? And if you have a multi-story building, it means that you have a foundation, which usually is the very lower back. I mean, arguably it's the pelvis, which is holding a lot of that pressure. Then you have the lowest part of the spine, and progressively you have more and more layers built on top of it. So when you're standing, or even worse, when you're sitting, the pressure is being brought to bear from top downwards. And one of the common things that we notice is when somebody has lower back pain, usually the focus becomes on the lower back. But sometimes what is actually happening is that at the top of the spine, there is a neck injury. And because of that neck injury, there's a very slight change in the alignment of the spine, very slight. But guess what? If you have let's use a 26-story building, and the 26th story is slightly lean in one direction or the other, it's slightly out of alignment. What it can mean in the case of the spine is that every single vertebra below that is also a little bit out of alignment. And it can be cumulative, meaning it starts off just being slightly off at the top, a little bit more off below, a little bit. But by the time you reach the bottom of the spine, there's a significant change in alignment of those vertebrae. And sometimes it's as simple as helping the person to get better alignment and better healing and health and blood flow to the vertebrae at the top of the spine. And believe it or not, sometimes that helps with the back pain at the lower part of the spine. So this gentleman in particular was an athlete in his younger days. And since that time, he's been driving for quite some time, and didn't know why he kept having back pain. And his brother in Italy advised him to come see me. And as a result of that, he was able to get significant relief. And I was so happy for him. So we're going to close out today talking with him, just listening to his experience and showing a little bit about what we did for him. I want to encourage you that if you have difficulty with sleeping, in particular, I know I've listed a lot of things today, but if you have difficulty with sleeping, please comment sleep below this video, and we'll send you my personal recipe that I use to help me to sleep well. Doesn't involve the Crown of Thorns because obviously I can't do it on my own. But if you have difficulty sleeping, comment sleep below and we'll get something to you to help you. So thank you so much for watching. Watch this interview and I'll see you in the next episode. Bless you. So everybody, we're here with Alessandro Solenne. Did I pronounce it correctly?
Yes, correct.
Okay.
But it's Solenne.
Solenne.
Yeah, because it's Italian, so Solenne.
Italian. So is
Yeah.
it Solenne?
Yeah, kind of.
So Alessandro is now a good friend of mine. We met 3 weeks ago.
Yeah,
It's Alessandro Solenne.
some more, like 4,
Yeah, more.
because we skip one.
Yeah, 4 weeks
Yeah.
ago. And Alessandro is an Italian
Yes, living in Jamaica.
living in Jamaica. And I will tell you, his patois is better than mine.
Yeah, but my English is very bad. So I don't know if it's working for the international audience.
Well, so he says his English is bad, but his patois, which is our Jamaican dialect, is excellent. And that's because Alessandro is a tour guide.
Yeah,
So he has to relate to a lot of local Jamaican people, as well as his own, tourists.
Yeah,
some
tour
of
guests.
whom- Some of
Guests,
guests who sometimes speak your own language, your
of
native
course,
language,
yes.
which is kind of cool. So we have lots of jokes because he and I talk in patois, and it feels kind of strange because that's the easiest way for us to get our idea across. But basically, Alessandro, you joined me about 4 weeks ago because you were having a back pain.
Yeah, one really bad pain.
Yeah.
Then even my work is driving all the time, so that not make it better, so make it worse.
Yeah.
So I went through some real pain medication all the time.
Yeah.
Then with my brother in Italy,
Yes.
he just say, "Oh, find something different." So I just look around, and then I see your office, your thing that you're doing. So I came to check you.
And you work in the grill. So
I
it's
work
not-
in the grill, like from the grill, the basic in the grill.
Yeah, so not too far away. So Alessandro came here to join me, and he explained the situation. But there's a but.
Yeah.
He was having back pain, and when we did our vital reflex scan for him, we realized that the back pain was actually in the background of neck injury.
Yeah, basically like the starting from the neck, but it's got all the way down
That's
to the back.
correct.
Yeah,
That's
yes.
correct. So we did a really cool procedure for him called a Crown of Thorns. And he, to his credit, he was not skeptical. He was actually open,
Yeah.
very excited about the possibility of feeling better. And he's an athlete, a retired athlete. He says he's not
really at the high level, but I was doing a lot of sports at a young age. Yes.
But you told me you were on the Italian national team at one point.
No, not that far. Not that far. I don't take that credit.
So anyway,
But I did a lot of sports, so I have some sign of it.
Hello. All right, cool. Yeah, just got a phone call in the middle of the video. So, but we treated your neck with the Crown of Thorns. We might be able to get a little footage of what we do today so you can get an idea. And I didn't see you again for a week.
Yeah, we make it 1 week and then the other week.
Yeah.
And then now it's something like skip like 10 days for the third. This will be the third one.
So this will be the third treatment.
But after the first one, I feel the relief already. So yeah.
That's the funny thing because listeners, I will be
It's
honest.
kind of funny. I can tell you guys, it's kind of funny. The thing on the head is kind of funny and feel like a pain, like a burning, but you can feel something draining down, and some of the pain is just is up.
Yeah. Which was the interesting thing because the truth is, when I told him that I was gonna treat the neck, I know it was going to work, and I know he probably wasn't sure. But when you came back for that second treatment, and I kind of cautiously say, Alessandro, how is the pain? And he said, oh, it's much better.
Yeah. No, the thing is give you more like confidence to start back to exercise and anything, which is it's the key. So no, this time I never so good for that.
Yeah.
But it's the key. Like take off some of the extreme pain.
Yes.
It make you able to do exercise. And
Yes.
I do personally the swimming or whatever. It can help to go back and fit in your body.
Yeah.
But that it was very, very good to take off the big heavy pain, kind of like that.
So so today we're gonna do another treatment for him. He has to get back to work soon, so he graciously agreed to talk with us for a little bit.
Yeah,
talk with you for a little bit.
Yeah. So make everybody in the world to know about it. I don't know if you can understand this, but I hope so.
They can understand you. They can understand you maybe even better than me.
Yeah. Well, and everybody say I use my hand a lot, so I think maybe this can help too.
Yeah. Sign language.
People understand.
Why not? All right, so we're gonna do a treatment for him. You guys will see it, and the expectation is that he's gonna do really well. We're gonna also do a little work for him to get his muscle strength back. So I'm excited about what we're gonna be able to do, and talk a little bit about your tour guide company.
Well, my company is based in the grid. It's me and myself and my small boss are working on with my other friend in offshore with the cruise ship. So basically, we get some contact from Italy or like tour operator here then contact.
What's the name of it? Free
so we are
advertising.
like freelance thing. So
Free
it's Alex, me, and then Andrea Tour is the one in offshore for the cruise ship. So every Italian on the audience can contact Andrea.
How they get in touch with you? Go ahead, man.
No, well, Andrea.
How?
Andrea Jamaica Tour on the Facebook, Instagram, and everything.
Okay.
So for the cruise ship, it's that. And then Alex, everybody know Alex in the grid anyway.
All right, so get in touch with Alex or Andrea, and it's Alex Solenne.
Solenne.
Yeah. All right, thank you, man.
All right.
I appreciate it. Cool. Eat some mulberries. How about this? This one isn't bad. Not fully ripe yet, but down the hatch. This tree is doing so well. Ever since our last episode, it has not stopped bearing. Ever since it was first featured, I think it loves the camera. This one over here, not so much. Yeah, no dark ones here. So I'll just take this one. Oh, nice.
Oh, this one is not too bad, but we want it to be very purple. So in a day or two.
All right, so I'll see you guys soon.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Healthy Reasonings podcast. Remember to subscribe to this podcast so you can be updated as soon as new episodes are ready. If you have a question, send us a voice note on WhatsApp or a WhatsApp message. The WhatsApp number is 1-876-405-7831. For more information or to become a sponsor, please email wellnessdocjamaica@gmail.com. See you soon.